Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about what I believe to be the most important information revealed in chapter 38. So if you haven't read the chapter yet and don't want to be spoiled, please click away for now and return to the video after you've finished reading it. However, if you don't mind being spoiled or if you've already been spoiled by others and just don't care anymore, then feel free to stay. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is the revelation of what the secret weapon that the four beasts are preparing for their fight against the offsprings actually is.
Their ultimate goal must be to ensure their revenge is absolute. Maybe their end goal really is to create a heretic. If they could produce multiple heretics, not even the offsprings could stand against them. If they wanted to be absolutely sure of having their vengeance, there's something they could create that's even more powerful than a heretic. A queen.
Yes, the four beasts are trying to create a queen, and the commander, well, he wants to help them. Now, the reason why the commander wants to cooperate with the four beasts is because, first of all, the four beasts have no interest in fighting humanity. In fact, we even share a common enemy in the form of the offsprings and other powerful raptors, so working together makes a lot of sense. And another reason is because obviously, having a queen on our side changes everything. It will give humanity the power or the chance to finally defeat the raptors and reclaim the surface once and for all. So humanity's chance to finally reclaim the surface is going to depend on the commander's ability to convince the four beasts to form an alliance with us. And if he succeeds in doing so, then I have a feeling that this queen is going to be a huge group project between the Ark, the four beasts, and the pilgrims. But more on that later, because first, let's talk about how the four beasts are planning to create this queen. Now, Levitan hasn't directly confirmed anything yet, so we might still be missing some key information, but based on what we know so far, the way that they're making this queen is by using the dark matter and silver liquid solution to fuse all sorts of high quality materials together, and then using it to create an egg. Because as Levitan explained in chapter 36, the materials absorbed by the dark matter directly affects the traits of what's going to hatch out of the egg created from it.
So if, for example, you combine the data of aerial and subterranean raptures, you'll end up with a rapture that can fly and also burrow into the ground.
This is the reason why Levitan wanted to get Cinderella's body, because creating a queen requires you to use only the highest quality materials possible, and the body of the first heretic is easily one of the best materials you can have. And I'm guessing that Rabi's old body is more likely going to be used as a material for this queen, instead of my initial theory that the cores are going to be used to create heretics. Because I really think that it makes a lot more sense to use Rabi's old body as a material. After all, I think we can agree that a body that has the dual core system as well as the core of a fairy tale model would be pretty high on the list of the best materials you can use. So, Rapture Queen Rabi? No, just kidding. Anyway, now another thing that we're going to need when creating this queen is an ark, which is something that Behemoth hinted to us back in chapter 33 when she explained the reason why they're building an ark.
It's just as you said, human. We aim to build an ark of our own. One drastically different from yours. While we're not sure exactly what form it will assume, it's safe to say it would contain various types of infrastructure. That's beyond our capabilities at the moment, so we're simply constructing the shell. It's more of a symbolic gesture than anything. The Ark is an emblem of rapid progress, after all. We're going to make a secret weapon. One that will deal a crushing blow to our enemies.
And Levitan gave us a couple more hints in chapter 36 when she said that creating eggs inside an ark may produce something special, as well as her further explanation on the reason why they're building an ark.
To us, the Ark is like a protective womb that produces human imposters. Of course, I realize your kind existed before the Ark was created. But once the Ark went online, you all began pouring out, and basically became a new species. That's why we view the Ark as the origin of your evolution. Correct. Neither Rapture nor Nikke. A new species capable of crushing the offspring as well as other Raptures.
And a queen perfectly fits the description of this secret weapon slash new species that Behemoth and Levitan described. Now, we still don't really know how an arc can affect what hatches from a dark matter egg, but since we know that the Raptors also built their own miniature arc and that they've recently succeeded in creating a new queen, then I think that it's safe to assume that this miniature arc is where Marian was reborn as Rapture Queen Modernia. And an arc isn't the only similarity that Modernia's creation potentially shares with the steps that the four beasts has been taking in the creation of their queen. Because as we've discussed in a previous video, dark matter is literally written on Marian's clothes. So this could suggest that the dark matter was used to turn her into a queen. Now, we can't confirm if the Raptors used the silver liquid, but since gluttony is on their side, then they should have easy access to it. Now, as for the high quality materials they've used, well, we're talking about the Raptors here. They've been in control of the surface for the past 100 years, so they should have access to almost every high quality material you can imagine. Like, they can take parts from the offsprings, the 7 deadly sins, and even the first queen. And I know that some of you guys will probably point out Lilith's head, that the Raptors might have used it to create Modernia, and yeah, I think that that's also possible. But anyway, so what we're going to need when creating a queen is the dark matter solution, an arc, and some of the highest quality materials. I also think that the Vapouse and the Rapture Nikke combination of a dual core is going to be a requirement for a queen as well. However, the four beasts never hinted on this, so let's save this possibility for another video. Now, obviously, we already have access to the actual arc, but what we don't have is the extensive knowledge that the four beasts have on how to use the dark matter, because Levitan is the expert when it comes to that. However, what the four beasts doesn't have is access to a complete arc, because according to Levitan, it's going to take them 100 years before they can make any progress with the arc that they are currently building. So the commander's plan to work with the four beasts makes a lot of sense, because if we can convince them to work with us, then the only thing that we're going to need is to secure the high quality materials to use, which we'll probably do by hunting some powerful raptors. And of course, as I've mentioned earlier, I think that we might use Rappy's old body as a material for this project. But there's something else we can use as a material. Something that I believe to be of even higher quality than Rappy's or even Cinderella's body. And yes, I'm talking about Lilith's body. Now, the reason why I believe that Lilith's body is of even higher quality than Rappy's and Cinderella's body is not only because Lilith is said to be the strongest Nikke to ever exist, but also because we know that the current Raptor Queen, whoever she is, shares a connection to Lilith. That's why she's said to be drawn to Lilith's body, and many of us assume that the reason why the two of them share this connection is because the current queen was created using Lilith's head. So if this is really the case, if using Lilith's head really worked for the Raptors, then I think that it makes a lot of sense for us to also use parts from Lilith to create our own queen. But of course, if we want to use Lilith's body as a material, then we're going to need to find it first. And as far as we know, Snow White is the last person who saw Lilith's body, so it's safe to assume that the pioneers are the ones who's been keeping it safe for the past 100 years. However, asking them to give us Lilith's body is not going to be easy. After all, Lilith is not only their former leader, but she's also someone who they all looked up to, like an older sister. So convincing them is going to be extremely difficult. But knowing the commander, I'm confident that he can somehow find a way to convince the pioneers to give us Lilith's body. Now, of course, there's also a possibility that the commander decides not to go down this route out of respect for the Goddess Squad, or maybe Lilith's body just never gets brought up as a potential material. And even then, I still think that asking the pilgrims for help when it comes to gathering potential materials would still be the best course of action, After all, they're much more familiar with the surface when compared to Nikke's from the Ark, and not to mention that many of them are also more than capable of taking down tyrants on their own. So gathering potential materials would become much faster and much more efficient if we can convince the pilgrims to participate in this project. This is the reason why I mentioned earlier that I believe that this queen might become a group project between the Ark, the 4 beasts, and the pilgrims. And it's because we're really going to need everybody's help if we want to create a queen as fast as possible. But of course, these are all just my initial speculations. There's still a bunch of stuff we don't know, so as always, my opinion can still change depending on the information we get from the upcoming chapters. Now, one last thing before we end the video, because I know that some of you guys might be wondering why I didn't bring up Red Shoes and Rose's bodies when talking about potential materials. And it's not that I forgot about them, it's just that I'm not sure if Rose would count as a high quality material since she is a mass-produced Nikke. However, her combat data would definitely be extremely valuable, so yeah, there is potential. Now, as for Red Shoes, well, she is a fatal model, so her body definitely counts as a high quality material. But I think that she deserves her own video, so let's talk about her in the next one.